You are the writer of your own story. Your life unfolds according to the decisions you make, the people you interact with, the challenges you win or lose. However, sometimes your decisions may affect other people's stories too. That kind of responsibility can be overwhelming, because of which making the right decision becomes very critical.
Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
Satbir Arora is a taxi driver in the county of Oxfordshire. On a fine Tuesday afternoon, he was on his way to pick up his first passenger of the day. What he didn't know was that the passenger will turn out to be a 13-year-old girl. From the moment she stepped in the car, Aurora could tell something was off about her. Satbir Arora came to England with a worn-out rucksack and a £10 note in his pocket 11 years ago. And since then, he has created a life for himself here. He found the love of his life, set up a taxi business with her, and now, after years of hard work and hustle, their business is thriving. Of course, they didn't reach here in one day. It didn't take him too long to decide where he wants to stay in England. Coming from a populated city like Mumbai, he knew he wanted to stay away from streets overflowing with people and vehicles. The county of Oxfordshire lies in southeast England. Its lush scenery, rivers, and green belt make it a serene place to live. Aurora knew struggle like the back of his hand. His journey in England has been nothing short of remarkable. He began his journey by doing all kinds of odd jobs: waiting tables at a restaurant, delivery boy, car washer, driving taxis for other businesses, to finally owning a taxi business with his wife. He went from struggling to pay rent for his one tiny room to owning a well-furnished apartment. His business did not see success overnight. After all, driving taxis is hardly unique in a place like England. But he aimed to be the best service provider there is, and that took a lot of effort. It started with buying one taxi from his savings and driving it for 12 hours a day, sometimes even 15. Now he has many employees who work for him, but Aurora drives one himself even now. He believes it keeps him grounded. It was a sunny Tuesday afternoon. Aurora was in his taxi, driving around looking for his first passenger. He had a late start to his day, which means he left the house past noon. He hated starting the day late because by this point his usual office-going clients are already at their destinations. This means he will have to expand his circle and look for passengers elsewhere. Aurora decided to drive to the neighboring areas of the county to get passengers now. His best hope is to catch a fellow traveler. He found himself driving towards the Gloucestershire county, which falls to the west of Oxfordshire, and as fate would have it, he spotted his first passenger almost immediately. Aurora spotted a young girl standing at the side of the road waving at his taxi. He pulled up the taxi in front of her and she got in. "The Gloucestershire railway station, please," she mumbled to him. This odd request caught Aurora's attention and he looked up at her through the rear-view mirror. "I beg your pardon?" he asked, assuming he misheard her. "The Gloucestershire railway station, please," the girl responded in a slightly shaky voice. The girl didn't look a day older than 13. She was dressed in a school uniform and was not in school on a Tuesday afternoon. Her request sent off a red flag in Aurora's mind. Dressed in a uniform, asking to be taken to the railway station, she is probably bunking her school. Aurora had a feeling something was wrong. Despite the suspicion, he started driving the taxi hesitantly. The railway station was more than an hour away from here, which means they are in for a long drive. Except in that moment, he had no idea that his decision of picking up this passenger will lead him to embark upon a life-altering journey. He knew that his passenger's choice of destination is none of his business. But there were too many things in his mind at the moment. The girl was driving away from her home to a railway station more than an hour away, dressed in a school uniform on a Tuesday. She was shaky and nervous and didn't want to make eye contact with him. It was obvious something is wrong. Aurora decided it is best to break the tension by making some small talk with her. Maybe he will be able to sense what she is up to. She might even tell him whatever is bothering her. "So where are you headed to?" he asked with a smile. The girl didn't respond, almost as if she didn't hear him. Aurora didn't give up. He asked again. She looked at him with a frown on her face. "Going out with a friend?" She responded rather nervously. "Do your parents know about this?" Aurora asked. He knew he shouldn't interrogate her like this, but things were not looking good already. Without answering, the girl went back to looking outside the window. That confirmed his suspicion. She has not told her parents where she is, and she is headed to the railway station. Aurora didn't know how to get her to tell him what is happening. He had a really strong feeling that she in some kind of trouble. He asked her again, trying to hide his alarmed tone. The girl got really defensive and answered that her parents know about her whereabouts. Aurora did not believe her even for a second. He tried to talk to her more. Aurora usually did engage in small talk with his passengers, so he hoped she may not get weirded out or suspicious about him. He was just trying to make sure she is okay. He asked her more questions and she kept either dodging them or giving defensive answers. After defensively answering a few questions, the girl went back to being silent. Aurora feared it might be because she is scared of his interrogation. He held good intentions, but she didn't know that. To her, he was just a stranger meddling too much in her life. He decided to keep quiet for a while, give her time to realize he means well. Aurora knew the girl is lying about everything. Her parents did not know she is not at school and on her way to a railway station to meet a friend and go away with him Lord knows where. He wanted to help her, to make her realize she is committing a mistake. But he didn't know how to get through to her. Aurora realized they will be reaching the railway station very soon and he was getting uncomfortable. He didn't want to let this girl out of the cab. For some reason, he felt really protective of her. He guessed it is because she is very close to his daughter's age. This is the reason he felt responsible to keep her safe. After all, she was someone's daughter too. As Aurora pulled up the car in front of the station, he noticed the girl in the backseat. Her eyes were frantically searching for somebody. He asked her who she is looking for, and she responded rather distracted, "Friend." With that, the girl quickly grabbed her backpack and got out of the taxi. Aurora drove his taxi around and parked in front of the station. He didn't feel like leaving her behind to meet this friend. Plus, she was standing alone, yet to go inside the station. Apparently, whoever is coming to meet her is not here yet. The girl kept pacing back and forth. The girl didn't go to the counter to buy any tickets. If she is on her way to meet someone, then why is she not buying a ticket yet? Perhaps she is waiting for her friend who already has the tickets? Aurora started brainstorming ideas to get her out of here without making her uncomfortable. He decided to call his wife and tell her about the predicament he is in. He explained the whole situation to her, starting from the moment he picked up this girl to everything she told him, without taking his eyes off from the girl. His wife was equally concerned, which was a relief. He was afraid he will sound like a nosy weirdo who is interested in other people's business. Aurora decided to try once again and find out what is happening with the girl. But this time, instead of talking to her himself, he is going to make his wife talk to her. Maybe her motherly instincts will help her find out what to say to get her to trust and confide in her. Aurora rolled down his window and waved his hand in the air, trying to catch her attention. The girl ignored him at first, but after repeated attempts, she came over to his car. He told her to speak to his wife on call. "She wants to talk to you about something." The girl refused blankly and was ready to walk away. Aurora asked her to not speak if she feels uncomfortable, but he requested that she listens to what his wife has to say, just once. The lost soul might have felt some sort of comfort in those words because she agreed to speak to his wife. Aurora handed her the phone. "Hello?" she spoke. The girl continued to listen to the woman on the call. Aurora could tell his wife can break through the girl. She is clearly calling her out for lying to him. Of course, she was not harsh with her in any way. She understood how sensitive this case is. She could feel the girl opening up to her, slowly telling her details and coming clean. The girl admitted that her parents didn't know where she is and that she is nervous about meeting this man because they have never met before. That was all the information she needed to know to call the police. She asked her to pass the phone to her husband. Once she informed him everything, he hung the phone and dialed 999 for immediate assistance. Aurora asked the girl to sit inside the cab while they waited for the authorities to show up. He tried to ask the girl again for details, hopeful she will tell him the truth this time. And he was right. The girl informed him that she has never met this guy before. And they became acquainted with each other on the internet. Aurora put his face in his hands. He was right after all. At this exact moment, a 24-year-old man named Sam Hewings was stepping out of the train onto the Gloucestershire platform. He had a backpack clutched in his hand. His eyes were scanning the crowd looking for someone, in particular, a girl he was supposed to meet here. Hewings stepped out of the station and his searching eyes landed on the multiple police cars waiting outside the station. He felt anxious and slowly took steps back inside the station without getting noticed. He was nearly inside when his phone rang in his pocket. It was the girl. He answered the call and spoke very sharply. He asked her to go home and not call him until he reschedules and calls her himself. Apparently, the sight of police cars was enough for him to leave everything and head back. Except what he didn't know was, it wasn't the girl on the other end of the call. Aurora hung up the call with a satisfied smile. Sam Hewings had no idea what he just got himself into. This phone call will act as solid proof in this investigation. The police were able to trace the phone number via the local network tower. Plus, the cameras on the station caught him answering the call exactly when the call was made. He just got set up. The facts that add up were enough to arrest Sam Hewings. However, further investigation of this case revealed some unsettling facts about him. They were able to get access to his online chats. Turns out, Hewings had booked 2 train tickets from Gloucestershire to back his home. But the most disturbing parts were what he planned to do after he took her home. When the authorities read up further on his online activities, it became obvious that they were dealing with a pedophile. His online records were presented in the court. He had posted on forums, which no decent man would ever subscribe to. He was luring the young girl to his room. But the worst was yet to come. Not only was the man a pedophile, but he was also a part of various dark groups on the internet. For the authorities, it was reading the details of such groups and his participation in them that revealed his true intentions. He spoke about how he planned to kidnap, sedate and force himself upon the girl. When the police made an arrest, they also scanned his place for any suspicious items. And they found the backpack he was found clutching in his hand when he went to meet the girl. The contents of the bag included 2 knives, a sedative, and a roll of duct tape. Even if they didn't find the online details, these items were enough to keep him behind the bars. During his trial, Hewings' online logs were presented to the judge. From about September to November last year, your chat logs reveal your pedophile tendencies and desires, said Judge Michael Cullum. You said, "I have a teen in mind, but she needs to be kidnapped," the judge added. And even though his plan was not successful, it was obvious what Hewings intended to do with the girl. He had convinced her that she will be safe with him and manipulated her to come and see him. That is why she bunked her school and took a cab to travel all the way to Gloucestershire alone. If it wasn't for the brave taxi driver, the girl would be in really big trouble now. The heroic act of Satber Aurora saved this girl from being captured by a sick pedophile like Hewings. He and his wife managed to get this girl out of trouble, and she has the rest of her life ahead of her thanks to the kind strangers. Aurora's intuition was correct, since he sensed something was off with her right from the moment she stepped inside his taxi. Aurora revealed later that he had undergone special safeguarding training a few months before this incident took place. The training included an activity that helps him in identifying someone's behavior when they secretly needed help but don't speak up about it. And that is why he was able to make a judgment call for the girl. The Gloucestershire police was really impressed by Aurora. They emphasized how important such training is for drivers, as they find themselves in criminal situations more often than we like to believe. Training them to make the right call and to follow the correct series of actions in emergency situations is highly critical. Satber Aurora's courage and strength were rewarded and recognized by the Gloucestershire police. He was granted the highest honor for his bravery. He saved the 13-year-old from a doomed fate. Aurora was extremely grateful for the recognition, but most of all he was grateful that he was at the right place at the right time. The outcome might have been different had she taken a different taxi that day.